He said it's a sin to be poor because you have all these talents, and if you're sharing your talents with the world, then you should be getting paid for that. And if you're getting paid for that, then you should be making millions. If you're sitting back and you're not doing something to build your wealth, then you're not using your gifts that your Creator gave you. Now, that's just one example of how self-worth determines your net worth. That if you're sitting back thinking, oh, I'll never have this kind of cash, you're right. Because you will never go beyond that inner image that you have. The third thing that we talked about a little bit before is, this is my third philosophy, you have to exchange value. You aren't going to be able to get lots of money if you aren't creating value for the planet. In fact, I believe you have to give more value than you're getting paid in return so that money can't keep up with trying to pay you back for all the good that you're doing. You know, abundance is the belief that there's always plenty. There's always enough on this planet. That you can have millions of dollars in your bank account. And you can only create that if you think, well, what is my gift to humanity? For me, mine is to educate people, to inspire people, to write books, speeches, do videos, make the message clear that you deserve to have a phenomenal quality of life in health, wealth, and relationships. Some people, their job is to heal people that are sick with disease. Some people is to build bridges. Some people's gifts are to really understand law, about passing or defending the law. You have to figure out what is your gift. You have to harness that gift, and you have to feel valuable in that exchange process. Because if you always feel like you're never enough, you never will be. And no one will ever want to give you money for the value you're bringing. The last one is, people think that money is only about taking things from people. If I'm going to make money, I have to take it from them. That's not what money's all about. Money, like I said before, it's an exchange of value. It's about actually giving. The more I give to my clients, I mean, right now, this whole video series, it's all free. The more I give you, the more you're going to say, well, what can I do for Sean? Because that's how wealth is created. You continue to dump value onto people and then have them say, how can I help you in return? And that's where you introduce your talent. That's where you introduce what you're good at. And in exchange for that, you will be able to create your wealth. Hey, what's up? So we're going to talk about the techniques to making wealth. I brought you to one of my favorite clubs where I like to sit back and really create my life. And that's what you got to do with wealth. You got to ask yourself, how much money do you need to make in order for you to live the quality of life you want to have? Do you want to take polo lessons? Do you want to take tennis lessons? Do you want to travel to Europe? Do you want to be able to have all kinds of shoes or clothes or, I don't know. You got to figure out how much money would you have to make every year to be able to do everything you want to do. And until your brain has a number that it can focus in on, in order for it to know how much money, you have to get very clear in your mind. So write that number out. For me, I know exactly what that number is. I'm constantly looking at that number and getting closer to that number. And then once I got to that number, I raised it again because I wanted to do more things. So what is wealth to you? Do you need to make 100,000, 500,000, 5 million, 50 million? Figure out based on the kind of life you want to live. That's technique number one. Technique number two is stay away from anybody who claims they can get you rich quick. I'm telling you, it's not pretty, but it's true. When somebody tells you they can make you fast money, they're either doing something illegal or they're about to scam you out of your hard-earned money. You don't want to do that. Money, when it's done right, may come quickly, but only if it's based on the principles that I'm sharing further on in this video. If somebody tells you that they have the best golden nugget and they have all this that they can do for you and you just got to give them all this quick money and they'll triple your profits or quadruple it in 10 days or less or 6 months or less, be very careful. I found that anytime somebody was pushing me and pressing me to make a financial decision, it always burned me. When people usually say, hey, this is what I got for you. You either want to try this or you don't, and I'm okay with either one. When people give you space to make your decision, that's oftentimes a good financial investment. But if you're being pressured hardcore, that's not what you want to be dealing with. So here we are at a favorite spot in my town where I like to just sit and reflect. And in reflecting with you, some more techniques. Know what your 10-year plan is. Where do you want to be in 10 years financially? Most people, if you ask them where do you want to be in a year, they barely know, let alone 10 years. Most people will tell you where they don't want to be. Well, I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be lonely. But if you say, okay, I get it. Well, what do you want? They don't know. You have to know your 10-year plan. And the next technique that I want to share you is you have to invest in yourself. Whatever the cost is, if what you're spending the money on is developing your mind or your body, that's a good, sound investment. I have spent thousands of dollars in books learning about health, wealth, and relationships. I have spent probably over $100,000 worth of seminars learning about health, wealth, and relationships. I don't regret one single dollar that I spent. Why? Because I was investing in myself. And yes, there's a lot of good places to put your money. You know, at times maybe it's real estate. Times maybe it's the stock market. Maybe it's gold. But the only investment that I know that has a guaranteed return on investment is putting money into yourself, your own education. Whether that's going the traditional route or the non-traditional route through books, seminars, tape series, do whatever you have to study wealth. I'm constantly bringing into my life new bits of information to teach me how money flows, how to invest money. You have to get yourself to be comfortable with the fact that you don't know it all yet, and that's okay. In fact, it's totally fine to go out there and to tell people, look, I'm just learning about how to get rich, and I want to do it the right way. And that brings us to our next technique. Surround yourself with people that already have a lot of money that are like-minded with what you want in life. So find people that live out a life, live out a dream that you really want to have in your life. Go to them and say, hey, I really want what you have. Will you teach me how you got it? Now, you might be all afraid that they'll think you're some whack job, but most of the time they'll be flattered. Most people that make a lot of money never get approached on how they did it. People might say, hey, can I borrow some of your money? Can you give me some of your money? But very few people have the courage to say, how did you get there? Would you mentor me? And it's more than that. The technique I'm going to share with you has helped me create my mentor circle around me, is figure out what's valuable to that person. Do they love kids? Do they have a specific kind of charity? What's their favorite food? What's their favorite restaurant? Whatever it is. And go to them and say, hey, I'd like to donate to your charity. Or I'd like to take you to dinner and pick your brain, but we'll go to your favorite place. Or send you a bottle of wine. Whatever you love, how can I bring more value into your life? And that person will be thrilled that you went out of your way to bring some value into their life. And then figure out, who do they want to meet? You know, if you know somebody that maybe somebody who's very well off wants to meet, figure out how to connect to them. That person will then be positively in debt to you and want to help you. I'm constantly asking my mentors, what can I do for you? How can I get you more of what you want or what you have? We have a hard time pushing people away that are working tirelessly to get us what we want. Another thing, and I'm going to cheat here for a second, live below your means. It's so easy to look at wealth and say, oh, wealth is driving the expensive car. Wealth is all about having the big home. Wealth is all about going on those fancy vacations. Wealth is actually knowing that you have a flow of cash in your life, but you're not trying to prove it to anyone. When you live below your means, when you're bringing in lots of money, but you're not blowing it as fast as you're making it, then you can start to accumulate wealth. And that's the problem. When people win the lottery, or when they get an inheritance, or they get a big salary bonus, they blow it so fast because they're afraid they'll never make that kind of money again. If you're confident that money will keep coming, you will never feel the need to just race out and spend it as fast as you make it. Be comfortable living below your means. I have a friend who is worth millions of dollars, and she was living in a very modest home for many years while I was hanging out with her. And I knew she had lots of money. And I said, why are you living in this house? And she said, because we have a figure in our mind of how much money we want to be making before we step up to that bigger home. We could step up right now, but we would be stretched so thin that we wouldn't have any breathing room. And if one of my children got sick or anything happened with our career, we would be really stuck. And right now we see it in America. People lived above their means for so long, and then the bubble burst. And now they're getting their homes foreclosed on, their cars repossessed, because they were living above their means. You don't want to do that. Take the humble pie route. Make sure that you're setting yourself up to make money, not to be flashy, not to impress others, but so that you can have a sound future. Another technique is you want to start researching your industry. Whatever you want to be doing to make money. If you want to do it in sales, if you want to start a company, whatever it is, make sure that you understand your industry. One of the things that I do is I'm a professional speaker. For the past 10 years, I have been spending my money to fly out to a national conference where all speakers meet, and I learn about the industry, learn what people are doing to grow their business, learn what people are doing to become better speakers on the platform, learn what people are doing to network. I'm constantly learning about that industry. When I started writing books, started going to conventions and figuring out what do agents do, how do publishers work. When you are wanting to get rich quick, you're basically saying, oh, I don't want to learn what it takes. Just give it to me now. It doesn't work that way. You're going to have to know your industry. Another technique is figure out what is something that people need, what is something that people desire, what is something that people want, and then help them get that through your product or service. When people fail at opening small businesses, it's because they think, oh, I have this great idea. I'm going to create an edible spoon. You know, a spoon that I can eat my dinner with, and then I can eat the spoon. It'll be great. Everybody will want to buy one. And then they go and they put all the money into production, and no one buys the edible spoon. Why? Because there wasn't any demand for an edible spoon. There wasn't anybody saying, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Figure out what are people wanting. You know, when you look at technology, you take a company like Apple. You know, Apple is phenomenal because they set trends, but they also listen to their customers. They figure out what do people really want. Oh, they want portable. Oh, they want lighter. Oh, they want to be able to search the internet wherever they go. Okay, let's give them what they want. And then people line up for miles and go on waiting lists, waiting to buy their products as if, you know, it's some kind of movie release because they're fulfilling people's needs. People are getting what they really ultimately want. So when you're thinking about business and starting up your generation of profits, look around, see what people are really wanting. The next thing is you want to study marketing. I can't tell you the mistakes I've made in business, and the greatest mistake was not studying marketing earlier. And if you think that somebody else is going to do your marketing, even if you hire somebody else to do your marketing, you still have to understand the principles, the basics. My mentors have sat me down and said, Sean, here's how you're going to make more money. You're going to study how to get more people to learn about what you have. Because you could have the best thing in the world, but if no one knows about it, which is where marketing comes into play, then you're going to go on financially frustrated and strained. So figure out what are the marketing principles. Figure out what sales means. Figure out all the elements that go into business. It's going to take time, but it's worth the effort You're better off with one little step a day than trying to